Good day everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Wysol and today we are going to be talking about why this day and age is so important. Okay, so the age of Aquarius, why is it so important? Why is it such a pinnacle time in, you could say, the history or the timeline of the Earth's consciousness or our collective consciousness? So I just want to put a little thing into perspective with this video. So I just want to say, if you know your birth chart, okay, do you know your birth chart? Yes or no? If you don't, go Google what a birth chart is or a natal chart and get it done, okay? Because I'm going to put it into perspective. Think about this, we didn't have the internet about 60 years ago. Let's say 70 years ago or 100 years ago, let's say in the 1920s, how did they get their birth charts done? It was pretty hard to get your birth chart done without the internet, right? Nowadays, you can just go online, put in your time of birth, date of birth, place of birth, and the technology calculates it for you. But back in the days, people couldn't get knowledge of self. It was nearly impossible to obtain knowledge of self by yourself. But now, yes, we need someone else to run the electricity and the technology and stuff. But now I can go online and go find knowledge of self by looking at my birth chart. By typing it into Google, put in my time, date of birth, place of birth, and I can find what I'm supposed to be doing or what I'm inclined to be doing in this life through my birth chart. Again, people could not, the mass amount of people that can access birth charts now compared to 100 years ago, let alone 200, 300, 400, 500, and keep going, you get what I'm saying. It was a lot more difficult. So as you can imagine, let's just take the story of like the prophets out of the holy books and stuff. Think of it, like 2,000 years ago, there was one guy, or maybe two in different parts of the world, maybe three, tops of 5, tops of 10 in the world that would like the type of person of Jesus or the prophets in these holy books. There was probably 10 tops, maybe more, but there was probably not as many as there are today. And that is because they couldn't access the information we can access now. Again, 100 years ago, they could not go online, type in their birth chart. Billions and millions of people can go find knowledge of self through the birth chart by going online now. Couldn't do that 100 years ago. Couldn't do it 1,000 years ago. Might have been able to do it 2,000 years ago. We don't really know what technology we had pre or before Christ, because there's a lot of evidence that suggests that we did have advanced technology thousands and thousands of years ago. A lot of evidence, and I mean a lot. Just look at the Egyptian hieroglyphs. There are helicopters on the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Anyway, I just wanted to put that into perspective for you, because we are at the time and age known as the age of Aquarius, or the age of information, or as I like to call it, the age of knowing yourself. We, as a collective, well, as individuals as well, because although you are one, you are an individual spectrum of the one, and that is determined by your genetics, so your biology, your genes, and your astrological programming, which is your birth chart / natal chart. These are I like to call them the fragmented light codes that are embedded into you. Because think about your birth chart, the certain light is reflecting off certain planets at your time of birth. So it's reflected light. Certain light has energized you at the time of birth, basically. But as I was saying, this is a crazy time to live in. Well, not crazy time. Well, it is a crazy time, depending on your perspective. But it is the pinnacle point. This is, if you were born after like the 1990s or like the 1980s, you were born into a world where you're either gonna help destroy it or help change it. And I'm being really serious here. If that resonates with you, that you think you can change the world, then you can change the world. And I'm not just talking about the world as the internal world, I am talking about the external world. Because again, it is internal as well. But you can change, we are going to change it. It's not you can, we're changing it already. But this is literally, you were born at this time for a reason. You know, you were born, what, you're kind of locked into this timeline for a reason. This timeline is a very magical timeline. It is the timeline where technology, which is natural, by the way, technology, artificial, is natural. You have to look at it from the perspective that you are God. If you are God and you're creating things, how can it be unnatural? Okay, so at this time in our age, we are going to have a total convergence and symbiosis of technology, biology, and nature. We're going to be the most advanced beings that we've ever been. Although time is an illusion, different timelines fracture off into different timelines. So this is happening. Okay, this isn't a timeline that's a possibility or not a possibility. This is happening. Okay, I want to talk about predictive programming as well, because predictive programming has been programming us for a while. It's been programming us subliminally for destructive purposes and slightly for positive purposes. The destructive purposes are obviously programming us to accept certain agendas. That's programming us to accept it before it gets implemented, essentially. But the predictive programming that I'm going to talk about, this is going to get very deep, is superheroes and anime. Why are we, in this time and age, where we have grew up with these superheroes, these anime shows, these special abilities, what if I told you that those are going to be achievable? Yes, achievable. It's not like you're going to get it. It's not like there's going to be an electrical wave that might cause it, but you're going to have to earn them first, and then you could say you're chosen for it. Everyone can potentially achieve these. In the future, long in the future, there's going to be a war between powers, mechanical versus biological, natural, and then it's going to come into a kind of where it's more kind of united, but there is going to be a kind of artificial, supernatural war. Not soon, but in the future. It literally is going to be like mechanical robots. The system, they're going to utilize like bioengineering, mechanical engineering on a human body that are going to create these like super structural robots and combined with human beings. Oh yeah, and I just wanted to kind of lastly point out, even the Bible mentions that the chosen elect have certain special powers. And there's a YouTuber called Coach in the Fight that speaks about how these powers are not just any powers, they're not special weapons, they're not like guns and stuff. They are X-Men level powers, X-Men level weapons. Put that into perspective. I'll go check out his channel, I'll go check out their video, I'll probably put it in the description. But yeah, he's a Bible guy, but he does take bits, like, he reads the Bible properly. He's not a Bible basher. He reads all the scriptures, like the Gnostic scriptures and stuff, and he speaks about like potential actual truths. And even the Bible mentions that the chosen elect will be given special powers and weapons, or they'll have special powers and weapons, and they're not just going to be swords, knives, and guns. They're going to be X-Men level abilities. Okay, and then again, there's a reason X-Men is about mutants. They already have occultists, okay? Check out my video called Project Jedi. The government, if you're worried about cameras, privacy, and like cameras and stuff, and Facebook spying on you, Instagram spying on you, you should be more worried about Project Jedi. Project Jedi, the government have people that do remote viewing, which means they can see things without the need for a camera. Which means if you are being, let's say you're doing something naughty with yourself in the toilet, and you think you ain't got a camera, you're not on your phone and shit. You're like, oh, I don't want anyone to watch me, there's a camera on there. Someone can see you. Someone can see you if they really wanted to. If someone really wanted to see what you're doing, they can remote view to see you. Unless you're in like kind of a protected temple or something and you've got wards up, people can't view. But the government have occult super soldiers. It's known as Project Jedi. They practice divination, they practice incantation, so they practice spell work, and they practice the 3 pillars and remote viewing and probably astral projection by now. So this is all going to unfold. It's not a if and a but, if the timeline shifts in the right way. This is happening. You are in this timeline, okay? You are here for a reason. It's because if you're watching this, you're probably aware of these stuff. If you're watching this, you may not be aware of this stuff. You may have been thinking like, why have we been put in a time where there are things like superheroes like Superman and like all these anime shows like Naruto and like Avatar and Dragon Ball Z? Like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto is very, very esoteric. Very, very esoteric. So I'll quickly talk about Dragon Ball Z quickly, and Naruto. But Dragon Ball, we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Super. The way they teach in Dragon Ball Super how to turn Super Saiyan is by going with a tingly feeling on your back. That tingly feeling is the Kundalini electricity shooting up your spine. So technically you can go Super Saiyan by raising your Kundalini. Now Naruto story is a good one. Because it's based off the Hinduism, so it does speak about like Indra in the series. Can't remember, I haven't watched the series for ages, but it does talk about Indra. But it also talks about how there's like a deity or something on the moon, which coincides with the remote viewing projects that Project Stargate and the Project Jedi did. With remote viewing the moon, they were trying to see the dark side of the moon, and they were detected, which means that something caused the remote viewer to have some sort of fearful reaction. Was like, nope, not going there. He was detected. But yes, this time is beautiful. It's a beautiful time to live. At the moment, for some people, it may not seem like a beautiful time to live because there's a load of all of this crap going on. But this evolution that you're going through is unlike any this planet has witnessed. Unlike anything this planet has witnessed. It's like I said, 100 years ago, people couldn't get their birth charts. People couldn't get a simple thing like a birth chart, and we take birth charts for kind of granted. We learn about the birth chart, we might read it, but we don't really study our birth chart. That is you, like the astrological programming. That is you could call it light code programming. It's your astrological programming. It's how you work non-biologically. Biologically, it might be would be your genes and like what food you may be inclined to be eating, what weather you should be in, stuff like that. But your astrological programming is a lot different, okay? But yeah, 100 years ago, people couldn't get their birth charts. 200 years ago, people couldn't get their birth charts. 30 years ago, people couldn't get their birth charts, yo. Again, if you were born 1990s, if you're known as a millennial, you are going to change the game. Don't listen to all these older people that are like, oh, follow tradition. Tradition is a bunch of dead people telling you they want you to do the same thing over and over again. That's what tradition is. It's a bunch of older people and dead people saying, you should do it like we did before. You should do it like we did before. Without progressing and evolving. Again, we are going through an evolution, a genetic evolution. For anyone that's taking monatomic gold, you are already partaking in this genetic evolution. Again, think about it, people didn't process monatomic gold 100 years ago in mass productions like they did today. And think about how many people are now consuming monatomic gold because they know that it is good for your brain and feeling and receiving energy. It's good for that as well. So monatomic gold is helping you progress through genetic evolution. Meditation, connecting to your higher self is going to make you evolve. This didn't happen 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I'm gonna keep saying this because it's important. This time is where serious shit is gone down and is going to go down. So I mentioned earlier that there's like a little war going to happen. I don't want to put fear out there, but there's always going to be an enemy, because that enemy is simply going to be someone that doesn't agree with you. It's going to be a clash of ideas. That is what an enemy is. That's what enemies have been all the time. One guy, or Yahweh. Let's take Yahweh for example. Yahweh and the Hebrews didn't agree with the Canaanites. So guess what they did? They went and killed them. And then other people didn't agree with other people, and it's just because they didn't agree with how they think. Simple as. Simply as that. It's because they did not agree with how they think. So don't care about how other people think about you. You should in a way, because it is very natural for humans to kind of want appreciation, but you shouldn't allow others' opinions to form you, if you get what I mean. So their opinion shouldn't form how you should be acting. You need to simply just attain gnosis, so experience things for yourself, and if someone says that's not true, we'll tell them that's not true for you, but I've experienced it. That's what I always say. But yeah, this is a pretty powerful time to be alive, because as I said, this is the time of knowing yourself, knowing thyself. It is the age of Aquarius. This is the age of information, where all information is at the palm of your hands, on your phone, on a phone, literally a computer. You can go online and find information out. 30 years ago, again, they couldn't do that either. 100 years ago, they didn't even, I don't even think they had like post boxes. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if they had post box phones, let alone a mobile phone, let alone one that's got access to the internet. You can get your birth chart up on your mobile phone. 10 years ago, you couldn't get your birth chart up on your mobile phone. You could get your birth chart up, but 10 years ago, you couldn't get your birth chart up on your mobile phone. Literally, a 10-year-old can get his birth chart done, read it, and wake up. Imagine if you were 10 years old and you read your birth chart. Imagine you were 5 years old and you read your birth chart. That'd be pretty mad, wouldn't it? Imagine knowing the things that you know now when you were younger. That would be cool, but you needed to learn the things that you know now, because you needed to go through an experience to be who you are now. But I'm not going to try to drag this video on. I just wanted to kind of talk about how this is a unprecedented time in our evolution, our genetic evolution. There is going to be a significant change in the chemistry, like the biochemistry of the human genome, because of the things that we're doing in this day. Things like meditation, spirit work, taking monatomic gold. I've started taking silver. I consume two types of metal, monatomic gold and monatomic silver. So I'm consuming electromagnetic conductors, micro doses of electromagnetic conductors that allow me to feel my surroundings, not like feel like grab them, but I can feel the energy in my surroundings. I even tried this on a tarot reading the other day. I kind of stopped watching other people's tarot readings now, but I did try this on a tarot reading. I checked the energy of the card through the screen. I went like, sometimes I do it when I'm reading for myself, so I'll place the cards down and I place my hand over the cards to feel which card I'm going to select. But I did that on a tarot reading through the computer screen, you know? Cards were on the screen, I went like this. Because normally I do where I ask my higher self to show me a number in my mind's eye. Normally that works, but like that day, it's like nothing was coming through my mind's eye. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. So I used the energy like test method, where you just kind of run your hands and you'll get a pull of what thing you should select. And I did that, and yeah, the way I'm able to sense energy now is through the roof. I can be able to detect what kind of the bullshit that's about to come out of someone's mouth before they even say it. Like, I've had a few things with my sister at home, like she's been kind of lying a lot. Like, I'm like, why are you leaving Baki on the table, like, why are you leaving mess on the floor, on the table? And like, before she says it, like, I knew what she was gonna say. I was like, but yeah, it's like mind reading. Telepathy is getting really quicker. Telepathy is rather easy. Intentional send a thought to someone. You can test this on other people as well. You can test how intuitive they are if you're just testing random people. If you just stare at someone's head, the back of their head, if they don't turn around, they're not as intuitive. But if they're like, what the fuck is that? Then they're intuitive. You've probably done this before. You've probably been walking around and like felt someone looking at you. You're like, what the fuck is that? Sorry, I know I need to stop swearing, but it's just something that's been ingrained in my mind for like years. But let's go a brief overview of what I've said today. There is genetic evolution going on. You're living in a time where nothing like this has happened before. In history. In known history. Okay? We're going through, again, genetic evolution. This is what Belial told me. Or Belial. Please stop calling him Belial. Or Belial. Belial. Genetic evolution. Once you can contact these deities, and I like to think of contacting these deities now as not drawing something into you, but you're triggering a receptivity inside yourself that unlocks that energy inside yourself. That's what I'm feeling at the moment. That's what I'm feeling with even crystals. Sometimes I'm not sure about crystals, because obviously that you are bringing in the energy into you, because it's a material thing that you can go get from like Brazil. You're bringing it to you. But even then, when you bring it to you, it triggers an opening of receptivity inside of you to allow that energy into you. So it is just opening an energy portal in a way. But yeah, as I was saying, the superhero thing as well. That is a bit strange. But think about it. Predictive programming is there for a reason. Why are we so why is superhero stuff thrown at us? Why is anime thrown at us? And you need to understand the connections between superhero stuff and real life. Because Superman, Man of Steel, what happens at the start of the Man of Steel film? If you know, have a think about it. If you don't know, I'll tell you now. So at the start of the Man of Steel film, Jor-El, Kal-El's dad, so Superman's dad, basically is a scientist telling the governing elite of the planet that the planet will go up due to expending all the natural resources. Does that sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? I think it sounds familiar. And guess what? The planet blows up. If you also tie that into Supergirl, the TV series, Krypton has a sister planet. Earth has a sister planet. Krypton destroyed its sister planet. Earth has a destroyed sister planet. Do you see where I'm going here? Or do you see where these stories have come from? Because all stories you see, anime, Superman, superhero stuff, they all come from the Akashic records, which means they are all real in some time and space. Oh yes, they are all real in some time and space, otherwise someone could not have imagined it to come into fruition. Because imagination creates everything. Everything you see is imagined by something. This selfie stick was imagined, this jacket was imagined, this bag was imagined, this bottle. Someone imagined something in the shape of this so they can fit liquid in it. Okay? The only things that you could say aren't necessarily imagined are the grass and the trees. But then again, the earth is very intelligent. So did she imagine those? Never know. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave that there for today. Hope you enjoyed. I hope that kind of gave you a little different perspective of things that are happening. And I know I said like it is happening. that is, you could call it an objective truth, no, subjective truth, but it is happening. That is, there's certain timelines that are collective timelines. You can have individual timelines, which are your trains of thought, where you think you're going. So for example, if I went somewhere else to meditate, maybe I would have spoke a bit differently on this video. You can say that, but there's a collective timeline that is coming into fruition, and that is due to simply a lot of people getting onto the spiritual practice. Okay? But I don't think I'm going to drag this video on. I think I could speak for a little bit longer on this, but I'm going to try not to. But like I said, the superhero thing is a bit of a funky one, but you got to question it. Why have we been bombarded with superhero stuff since birth? And again, think about it, because these superhero things, they only came about with this time as well. 100 years ago, no one really wrote comics about Superman and like stuff like that. 200 years ago, no one wrote comics about superheroes and anime. We are living in a time, these things that are around us for a reason. The superhero stuff, the anime stuff, it's around us for a reason. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I will keep going on. But yeah, thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you next time. Peace out.